Good morning. Today we are going to learn the important soft organ that is liver. The liver is a large solid gland situated in the right upper quadrant of the abdominal cavity. In the living subject, the liver is reddish brown in color, soft in consistency and very friable. It weighs about 600 grams in male and about 1300 grams in female. Now, in the figure, you can see where it is located. The liver occupies in the wall of the right hypochondrium the greater part of the epigastrium and extends into the left hypochondrium, reaching up to the left lateral line. From the above, it will be obvious that the most of the liver is covered by the ribs and the costal cartilages except in the upper part of the epigastrium where it is in contact with the anterior abdominal wall. The liver is the largest gland in the body. It secretes bile and performs various other metabolic functions. The liver is also known as hepar, from which we have the adjective hepatic applied to many structures connected with the organ. So, we will see the external features of it. The liver is wedge shaped. It resembles a four sided pyramid laid on one side. It has five surfaces. These are anterior, posterior, superior, inferior, and right. Out of these, the inferior surface is well defined because it is demarcated anteriorly by a sharp inferior border. The other surfaces are more or less continuous with each other and are imperfectly separated from one another by ill defined rounded borders. One prominent border. The inferior border is sharp anteriorly, where it separates the anterior surface from the inferior surface. It is somewhat rounded laterally, where it separates the right surface from the inferior surface. The sharp anterior part is marked by a interlobal notch or the notch for the ligamentum teres, and a cystic notch from the fundus of the gallbladder for the fundus of the gallbladder. In the epigastrium, the inferior border extends from the left 8th costal cartilage to the right 9th costal cartilage. Liver has two lobes. You can see in this figure, the liver is divided into right and left lobes by the attachment of the falciform ligament anteriorly and superiorly, by the fissure for the ligamentum teres inferiorly, and by the fissure for the ligamentum venosum posteriorly. The right lobe is much larger than the left lobe and forms 5/6 of the liver. It contributes to all the five surfaces of the liver and presents the caudate and quadrate lobes. The caudate lobe is situated on the posterior surface. It is bounded on the right by the groove for the inferior vena cava, on the left by the fissure for the ligamentum venosum, and inferiorly by the porta hepatis. Above it is continuous with the superior surface. Below to the right, just behind the porta hepatis, it is connected to the right lobe of the liver by the caudate process. Below and to the left, it presents a small rounded elevation called the papillary process. You can see in this figure. The quadrate lobes is situated on the inferior surface and is rectangular in shape. It is bounded anteriorly by the inferior border, posteriorly by the porta hepatis, on the right by the fossa for the gallbladder, and on the left by the fissure for the ligamentum teres. You can see in this figure. The porta hepatis is a deep transverse fissure about 5 cm long, situated on the inferior surface of the right lobe of the liver. It lies between the caudate lobe above and the quadrant lobe below and in front. The portal vein, the hepatic artery, and the hepatic plexus of the nerves enter in the liver through the porta hepatis, while the right and the left hepatic ducts and a few lymphatic leave it. The relations between within the porta hepatis and from behind forward the portal vein, the hepatic artery and the hepatic ducts, the lips of the porta hepatis provide attachment to the lesser omentum. The left lobe of the liver is much smaller than the right lobe and forms only 1/6 of the liver. It is flattened from above downwards near the fissure for the ligamentum venosum. Its inferior surface presents a rounded elevation called the omental tuberosity or tuber omental. Now, the relations of the liver. Peritoneal relations. Most of the liver is covered by the peritoneum. The areas not covered by peritoneum are as follows. Number 1, triangular, that is bare area on the posterior surface of the right lobe, limited by the upper and lower layers of the coronary ligament by the right triangular ligament, and the groove for the inferior vena cava on the posterior surface of the right lobe of the liver between the caudate lobe and the bare area. Next, the fossa for the gallbladder, which lies on the inferior surface of the right lobe to the right of the quadrate lobe. And next, the coronary ligament having the superior and inferior layers which enclose the bare area of the liver. And next, that is liver, the lesser omentum. Visceral relations. Anterior surface. The anterior surface is triangular and slightly convex. It is related to the xiphoid process and the anterior abdominal wall in the medial plane and the diaphragm on each side. The diaphragm separates this surface from the pleura above the level of the line drawn from the xiphisternal joint to the 10th rib in the mid-axillary line, and from the lung above the level of a line from the same joint to the 8th rib. The falciform ligament is attached to this surface a little to the right of the median plane. The posterior surface. The posterior surface is triangular. Its middle part shows a deep convexity for the vertebral column. Other relations are as follows. Number 1. The bare area is related to the diaphragm and to the right suprarenal gland near the lower end of the groove for the inferior vena cava. Number 2. The groove for the inferior vena cava lodges the upper part of the vessel and its floor is pierced by the hepatic veins. Number 3. The caudate lobe lies in the superior recess and of the lesser sac. It is related to the crura of the diaphragm above the aortic opening, to the right inferior phrenic artery and to the celiac trunk. Number 4. The fissure for the ligamentum venosum is very deep and extends to the front of the caudate lobe. It contains 2 layers of the radial omentum. The ligamentum venosum lies on its floor. The ligamentum venosum is a remnant of the ductus venosus of the fetal life. It is connected below to the left branch of the portal vein and above to the left hepatic vein near its entry into the inferior vena cava. The posterior surface of the left lobe is marked by the esophageal impression. Now, superior surface. The superior surface is quadrilateral and shows a concavity in the middle. This is the cardiac impression. On each side of the impression, the surface is convex to feed the dome of the diaphragm. The diaphragm separates this surface from the pericardium and the heart in the middle, and from pleura and lung on each side. Now, inferior surface. The inferior surface is quadrilateral and is directed downwards, backwards and to the left. It is marked by impressions for neighboring viscera as follows. Number 1. On the inferior surface of the left lobe there is a large concave gastric impression. The left lobe also bears a raised area that comes in the contact with the lesser omentum. It is called as omental tuberosity. Number 2. The fissure for the ligamentum teres passes from the inferior border to the left end of the porta hepatis. The ligamentum teres represents the obliterated left umbilical vein. Number 3. The quadrate lobe is related to the lesser omentum, the pylorus, and the first part of the duodenum. When the stomach is empty, the quadrate lobe is related to first quadrate lobe is related to the first part of the duodenum and to the part of the transverse colon. Number 4, the fossa for the gallbladder lies in the right of the quadrate lobe. Number 5, to the right of this fossa, the inferior surface of the right lobe bears the colic impression for the hepatic flexure of the colon, the renal impression for the right kidney, and the duodenal impression for the second part of the duodenum. Now, right surface. Right surface, the is quadrilateral and convex. It is related to the diaphragm opposite the 7th and the 11th rib in the mid axillary line. It is separated by the diaphragm from the pleura up to the 10th rib and the from lung up to the 8th rib. Thus, the upper one-third part of the surface related to the diaphragm, the pleura and the lung. The middle one-third and the diaphragm, the costodiaphragmic recess of the pleura, and lower one-third to the diaphragm alone. Now we will see the blood supply. The liver receives 20% of its blood supply through the hepatic artery and the 80% through the portal vein before entering the liver. Both the hepatic artery and the portal vein divides into right and left branches. With the liver, they re-divide to form segmental vessels which further divide to form interlobular vessels which run in the portal canals. Further, ramifications of the interlobular branches open into the hepatic sinusoids. Thus, the hepatic arterial blood mixes with the portal venous blood in the sinusoids. There are no anastomosis between adjoining hepatic arterial territories and hence each branch is an end artery. Now, venous drainage. Hepatic sinusoids drain into the interlobular veins which joins to form sublobular veins. There is, in turn, unite to form the hepatic veins which drain directly into the inferior vena cava. The hepatic veins are arranged in two groups, upper and lower. The upper group consists of three large veins, right, left and middle, which emerge through the upper part of the group for the inferior vena cava and open directly into the vena cava. The lower group consists of a variable number of small veins from the right lobe and the caudate lobe which emerge through the lower part of the caval group and open into the vena cava. Microscopically, the tributaries of hepatic veins, that is central veins, are seen as separate channels from those of the portal radicals. Now we will see the lymphatic drainage. The superficial lymphatics of the liver run on the surface of the organ beneath the peritoneum and terminate in caval, hepatic, paracardial and celiac lymph nodes. Some vessels from the coronary ligament may directly join the thoracic duct. The deep lymphatics end partly in the nodes around the end of the inferior vena cava and partly in the hepatic nodes. Now we will see the nerve supply. The liver receives its nerve supply from the hepatic plexus which contains both sympathetic and parasympathetic or vagal fibers. Nerves also reach the liver through its various peritoneal ligaments. Now hepatic ligaments. On the basis of the intrahepatic distribution of the hepatic artery, the portal vein and the biliary ducts, the liver can be divided into the right and left functional lobes. These do not correspond to the anatomical lobes of the liver. The physiological lobes are separated by a plane passing on the anterior superior surface along a line joining the cystic notch to the groove for the inferior vena cava. On the inferior surface of the plane passes through the fossa for the gallbladder and on the posterior surface it passes through the middle of the caudate lobe. The right lobe is subdivided into anterior and posterior segments and the left lobe into medial and lateral segment. Thus, there are four segments in the liver. Number 1, right anterior, right posterior, left lateral and left medial. Some authorities further subdivide each of these segments into the upper and lower parts. The hepatic segments are of surgical importance. The hepatic veins tend to be intersegmental in their curves. Now we will see the functions of the liver. The functions of the liver are: number 1, metabolism of carbohydrates, fats and proteins. Number 2, synthesis of bile and prothrombin. Number 3, excretion of drugs, toxins, poisons, cholesterol, bile pigments and heavy metals. Number 4, protective by conjugation, restriction, phagocytosis, antibody formation and excretion. And number 5, storage of glycogen, iron, fat, vitamin A and D. Now we will see the histology of the liver. Liver is covered by Gleason capsule. In the pig, there are hexagonal lobules with the portal radicals at 3 to 5 corners. Each radical contains bile ductule, branch each of portal vein and hepatic artery. Central vein lies in the center, and all around the central vein are the liver cells or hepatocytes in form of laminae. On one side of the lamina in the sinusoid, and on the other side is a bile canaliculus. Portal lobule seen in human is triangular in shape with 3 central veins at the sides and portal tract in the center. The liver acinus is defined as the liver parenchyma around a pre-terminal branch of hepatic arteriole between two adjacent central veins. Now, how it is developed? How the liver is developed? It is developed from the caudal end of the foregut. An endodermal hepatic bud arises during the third week of the development. The bud elongates cranially. It gives rise to a small bud on its right side. This is called pars cystica, and the main part is pars hepatica. Cystica forms the gallbladder and the cystic duct which drains into the common hepatic duct, that is CHD. The epithelial cells of pars hepatica proliferate to form parenchyma. These cells mix up with the umbilical and vitelline veins to form hepatic sinusoids. Kupffer's cells and blood cells are formed from the mesoderm of septum transversum. Now we will see its clinical anatomy. Number 1, in the infrasternal angle, the liver is readily accessible to examination on percussion, though it is normally not palpable due to the normal tone of the recti muscles and the softness of the liver. Normally, in the median plane, the inferior border of the liver lies on the transpyloric plane about a hand's breadth below the ciphisternal joint. In women and children, this border usually lies at a slightly lower level and tends to project downwards for a short distance below the right costal margin. Number 2, inflammation of the liver is referred to as hepatitis. It may be infective hepatitis or amoebic hepatitis. Number 3, under certain conditions, liver tissue undergoes fibrosis and shrinks. This is called as cirrhosis of the liver. We will further in third year you will see the how liver cirrhosis is happen and what are its symptoms, signs and all those. Number 4, the liver biopsy needs to be done in certain clinical conditions. Liver biopsy needle is passed through right at intercostal space. It traverses both the pleural and peritoneal cavities. Okay, so our topic soft organ, the important soft organ liver, we have finished today. Okay.